Greetings and peace, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. So, I would like to start this with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Today, I have my brother from another mother, Daniel Arola, joining me. And for those that have been following me, I met Brother Daniel when I was associated with Douglas Duane Dietrich. And over time, we severed from that situation. And I'm glad that God put him in my life and me in his, so we were able to learn from each other and also expose this con artist that we were once involved with. So, in this specific episode, I'm going to dedicate it to Daniel Arola fully so he can explain his side of the situation. And for me, I've already exposed Douglas to a certain extent. So, for my side, please go on the playlist and you'll see the Exposing Douglas Dietrich playlist where I have several videos and podcasts exposing him bit by bit. So in this specific episode, I'm going to hand the floor over to Daniel Arola because all of us have been slandered, doxxed, defamed, and abused by this predator. And smear campaigns are ran by predators, not by victims. Because had he not said anything about us, we all would have moved on with our lives peacefully. So without further ado, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Brother Daniel. The floor is yours. Please tell us who you are, how you got involved with Douglas, and the aftermath situation as well.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Sal. All right. Let's see. Where do we begin? My gosh. Oh yeah. This is around 2015, I believe. Well, somewhere around that year when I first paid attention to Douglas Dietrich. It was some video interview. I believe it was for Halloween with Andrew Bartzies, and Douglas was saying some really cool history stuff. I'm into history and all that. I read a little bit about different parts of the world and different countries. See how they look at different levels of pride from different nationalities, on the foundation of their country and all that neat stuff. And my interest in Japan has something to do with it, even though he did use the World War II Japan won angle, which made it distractingly attractive. Although I didn't really initially believe that narrative, but he offered some kind of alternative way of viewing history. And, since he was big in geopolitics and all that, it got my interest, but how can I say, I maintained my sense of detachment where discernment is concerned, because it is easy to believe someone who speaks really confidently about himself with what he knows and what information that they're sharing with you. So that is an easy path to follow along, just because everybody quote is doing it. So I had to keep an eye out. But just in case I fall in too deep, even though I still did in some way, because I was protecting my own personal interest as a listener to Douglas's shows, where he started talking about other people sabotaging him and public. What was that? What was the term for it?
He uses himself as a public informant.
Yeah, a defamation of his character as a public informant. Him playing the victim, pretty much. And I was at that part where I was protective of my interest in what I can learn from this guy. That I just voluntarily went along, and I started making these videos to troll, and make fun of people that were against him. Which is that part of me that likes to fight. So I just went along with it. Went along with whatever story he told me without hearing or reading anything about the other side of the story. So that is my mistake on my part as a listener of his. So, that would be where I went in too deep, and I stopped doing it. Posting those videos when Richard Cole called me out on being acting as a flying monkey for Douglas Dietrich, and I stopped and I go, oh well, he wasn't lying. When I gave myself a second to think about it, I was like, oh shit, he's right. Let me look over this shit again. So I started questioning Douglas myself, on certain things. But long before that, I did question him on some things that he did say that he had accomplished or said he did, when he was in the Marines, like when he intervened in some mass slaughter against these female Muslim students that are being shot as they were running out of a burning dormitory because they didn't have their headscarves on, and these Muslim religious police were there shooting them, and Douglas claiming to go in there and attack two of them, killing them with his bare hands, while his platoon were just sitting there, just standing by watching until they knocked him out for it. I'm thinking, okay, how the hell does this make any sense? I'm a martial artist. I've been in martial arts for, I don't know, 40 years or so. Anyway, there's a lot of stories that I've learned from veterans about killing, and, even tapes that I used to see before the internet that, were pretty brutal. And the way he just talked about how he just did it, being emotionally detached about it, like he was reading off of some script, thinking, this is bullshit. He ain't killed nobody, him and his skinny ass, So that was my first red flag, and then still I had to watch out, see if any sign of him cheating his way through, like that shit when he started to adapt the son of Adolf Hitler image. Him claiming to be the biological son of Adolf Hitler from some insemination of sperm that his mother had saved. It's like, okay, like, oh man, this is going too far. Well, anyway, those are like some of those big time red flags. Thinking, oh wait a minute, I gotta watch who I'm aiding and abetting here. So, I mean,
Yeah, Brother Daniel. I mean, before you continue any further, I just wanted to add that anybody with common sense, I mean, unfortunately, at that time, you and I were associated with him. We thought this person was speaking the truth and he was trying to help humanity. Little did we know that we were aiding the enemy of humanity himself. And what he does is he's basically trying to identify enemies of the state. So if you ever dealt with like a alphabet agency informant or somebody that's a protected asset, like I was aware of this growing up in the post 9/11 world as a Muslim American, how these individuals entrap other people. They bring them into their circle and they entrap them. So what he does is he attracts followers, he brings people in, and then he squeezes as much info as he can out of them, of good people, even myself, just donating to him, helping him, as spreading the word about him, even on my podcast. And it comes a time where, wait a minute, he's having an anti-American stance. He's saying America's bad, America's military is this, and all of this other stuff of World War II. So he's basically collecting people that are anti-Americans and identifying enemies of the state for whoever his handlers are. And a part of what they do is they entrap people this way. So yeah, please continue, because he's defamed you and I both, and he's even doxed me. But thankfully, I've been able to report him to the authorities on that. So please continue.
Yeah, that's also another thing too. One symptom of the buildup of a cult is when the person is promoting something that is evil. Now, with this other bullshit that he came up with as anti-gods, kings of Edom. Well, he didn't come up with it himself, but that's besides the point. He's promoting the evil image, as something for his listeners to hurry, the clock is ticking, the world is ending or whatever bullshit, Book of Revelation mindset, that goes along with it, for them to contribute to him for his, I don't know, 200 electric blanket. I don't know what the hell is he going to do? Make a tent city out of it with the electric blankets? Who knows? But it's that. Yeah, the thing with the twist that he made with the evil narrative is that he turned the anti-gods as something that's beyond evil, that is worse than the devils and demons of hell, and that anyone who's learned about it from them, some big bullshit's going to happen unless they contribute to him. I mean, it's the same as, being in church, like in an evangelical church. You got that, they're passing the bowl around, you're just dropping your tithes in while they're guilt tripping you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, Brother Daniel, because when I looked into him, and first I caught him with that vampirology book, the manuscript of that book he plagiarized off of a Soviet scientist research report. And then the cover of that book, he claims that it was his mother. But then I found this old picture on Twitter from this Asian cosplay artist, Eugene Fei. And that was the same exact picture which he claims that was his mother. And he put that on the cover. So, I mean, he plagiarizes all of his thumbnails and arts from Asian cosplay artists from other countries outside of America. So maybe there's like some kind of a legal protection with that in terms of the copyright. But even with the Roswell book, if you look at the beginning of the book, there in fine print, it tells you that this book is a work of fiction. So him and his co-author and the people that he's involved with, they're all scumbags to the highest degree. And they're defaming and doxing people. And I reported him to the authorities in his jurisdiction. I did everything that I possibly could and reported him even to Google and YouTube. And even the doxing attempt, the person that came to my house. Yet this person is still up on the air, which shows me that he's a protected intelligence asset, COINTELPRO, agent informant, where he's there to entrap people, identify enemies of the state, and spill this anti-American narrative while living in America at the same time. So it's like the Proud Boys leader, right? He was there rallying people against the state and the government, but he turned out to be an agent informant as well. So this is a discernment and warning to people, because Brother Daniel and I, like what Daniel was doing, he was making these videos for him and doing what he was doing to help him. I was donating to him, helping him, appearing on his show every Wednesday and Sunday. And it's at the end, he throws everyone under the bus. So this is a warning to people to, stay away from him.
I was still cautious, when I first became a listener of his, especially when I, developed a connection with him, exchanging messages. I knew better than to share personal information, because it's likely going to be used against you in one way or another, especially when you don't really know who the hell this cat is. Anyway, I just told him that I had some girlfriend. I made up some image about her, about my girlfriend, quote, just to give him just to give him a bone to chew on, to see how far he can use that. And I do recall the first time I appeared as a guest on his show when he was on Revolution Radio. That afternoon, I texted and messaged him and Laurie Solomon when she used to be his handler. I texted them both, letting them know that do not mention that the fact that I have a girlfriend on air. Just keep it cool like that. They had the nerve to question me about it. Like, why not? Like, I'm just protecting a personal interest. I want to keep that shit off the air. Especially when I'm associated with you. So so with that in mind, I observed the way that he talked about other people that, that was also connected with them. He isn't always really positive. He always has some shit to say about them, one way or another, until they're on air, and then he's, telling them they love him and say hugs and all this other crap, just to love bomb them, to make them feel, oh, everything's okay now. But yeah, he does that shit all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely right, and that's what I mean. That's how I caught him, because I believe it was one of the episodes where as soon as I had gotten off the air, like as soon as you get off the air, like he'll start like talking about you. So
Yep.
this person is not a what do you call a friend or a brother in arms if you're looking for the truth movement. Even his monologues, he subscribed to these different newsletters and research journals and news reports, and he's reading off of them like in a monotone voice. So he's plagiarizing all of his stuff from other people, and even the anti gods and the Chochoa and all of that stuff. It's all from H.P. Lovecraft
Yep.
mythos. I even had a person from California who was part of the H.P. Lovecraft mythos community reach out to me and confirm all of these things for me, that him and his co-author and all these other people talking about the Cho and this and this and that, he's plagiarized all of that from these H.P. Lovecraft, from Hunter x Hunter, from these different comics and animes that people are not aware of. All of his images are plagiarized from Asian cosplay artists. I mean, his books are false and fiction. So this person is like the definition of an informant, where he's enticing people, entrapping people, squeezing personal info out of them, and then using that against them, doxing, slandering, and defaming people. He's done that to so many people, and for him to still to be on air and not to be held liable, I mean, it's all self-explanatory for those that have common sense.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, he likes to talk a big talk about I love you, I love this. There's a lot of love bombing, and people like that, they know on paper what love is, but I don't think they actually experience it as a whole, because people like that, they care more about your loyalty than your love, but they will say that they will love bomb the shit out of you for your loyalty, and
Yeah.
that's what that, and a lot that also is what keeps some people insecure about themselves, because they're feeding off of someone else who appears to have a stronger self-esteem than the other person, and that love bombing just maintains it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. That's why he always targets like middle-aged white women to come into his circle.
Yeah.
And what do you think of? I want your response to him calling you a prison bitch in one of his recent podcasts when he was defaming and slandering you as well.
Well, see what he did. I was prepared for that already, because I withheld my own personal life from him. I let him know what I want him to know. I told him some shit. I even made up some shit, asking him for prayers because my girlfriend, quote, is in the hospital. I don't know. I think I said some shit like an aneurysm or a stroke, somewhere close to that. You know, just to see his response. He was, and he just responded regularly. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll have prayers or whatever, loves and hugs. I don't remember the message verbatim. I could look it up, but that'll just take seconds. But I'm not going to go there. Anyway, I gave him that as something else to chew on, and he did use that against me. After I broke away from him, he was saying stuff like, "Yeah," and his girlfriend's got like some health problems. I don't think she's going to be doing so well. Trying to predict my own doom. You know, using those dog biscuits of information that I fed him and let him chew on it so that he can, predict my own doom, but he's just talking about his own story, you know?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, look at this person that's accusing other people of heinous crimes and accusations, right? Along with his co-author that's kind of joined him in this charade. And these people themselves are guilty of all of that they're projecting on others. I mean, he's talking about going to an estate and drinking the blood of underage young boys and being involved in this crazy stuff and just purchasing his son off the street, his imaginary son and his sugar daddy and all of that nonsense. So all of that stuff he's accusing others of, he himself is guilty of that. I mean, and then the smear campaigns and talking about people constantly, even people who never even responded to him, they just moved on with their lives. And the smear campaigns is something that what predators do. And it's very, very unfortunate, but I think God had a reason. You and I came together and we exposed this character to all of the world. So future people are aware of him and they save themselves from this liar, informant, chaos magician, and all of that this guy is. And please, Brother Daniel, continue if there's anything that you have not addressed or if I have failed to ask you anything.
Oh, yes, I do want to address something, especially in case that other knucklehead is listening right now. I want to ask for forgiveness from Stephen Outram and Richard K. Cole for the videos that I had posted to make fun of those two. I don't know you guys. I was only protecting my own interests at that time, and that was me being a dumb flying monkey, just as you had pointed out, Richard Cole, and you're right there. So that experience was me calling out, getting called out on my own bullshit, and me calling myself out on my own bullshit, in my relation to him at the time. So,
yes. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And even myself, I publicly apologize to Richard K. Cole as well, because Douglas on air used to call him Dickie Cunt Cole, and I used to join along with that charade, thinking that it was funny. So my apologies to Richard Cole, and I encourage everyone to check out his blog as he debunks all of Douglas's claim step by step with all of this stuff. And his blog is rkcole.blogspot.com. And they also have an LGAP forum where they debunk them episode by episode. And I thank those guys at LGAP because that's where I was able to catch those specific links and episodes and timestamps where he was making dangerous accusations against myself, against Daniel Arola, against our other friends that we were once associated with. So I thank those guys for keeping a track record without me having to listen to Douglas ever again, where I can continue to see what he's doing.
I really don't have any beef against Douglas or even Stephen Outram and Richard Cole when I was trolling them, although I do feel a little bit bad about the fat jokes that I made about Steve Outram. So I have to point that out and acknowledge it. That wasn't cool. So yeah, sorry about that, Steve. Anyway, other than that, I do feel a bit blessed because of my deliberate emotional detachment, with my connection with him. Although I was attached to him in other ways, on an emotional level and a financial level, I wasn't there. So yeah, that's also the other thing too. He was pissed at me because of the OBS program, that some new OBS program that I wasn't willing to purchase at the time when I was producing for him. Also in the middle of contemplating on dropping out from producing for him because he makes his shit so stressful. So I just made up some shit saying, nah, my lady's not gonna let me do that, man. Nah, man. So I guess that's where the prison bitch thing came from. because yeah, I said some bullshit saying, "Nah, man, my lady's not gonna let me do that."
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember. I remember, and he was like, "Oh, don't you have a sugar mama to help you pay for that?" And he's always looking for like a female sponsor, and he always like throws them under the bus. And he's done that to several women. To that one woman, without mentioning her name, when he told her on air, "I love you so much," and she just said, "Okay."
yep. No, no, he said,
That she's
no,
a smart one.
he said, "I love you very much," with an uncomfortable laugh.
Yep, that's it. That's it. I mean, he's a predator. I mean, he entraps these women. He possibly blackmails them. I mean, I'm baffled, brother Daniel, that myself and other people, countless people, have made reports to law enforcement against him with evidence. But why? Which brings me back to that same revelation that he's a protected intelligence asset and informant assigned to do what we have already explained here.
Yeah, his poverty protects him.
Yeah, that too. That too. I mean,
Yep. And his electric blanket city.
yep, the electric blankets, being on Section 8, Meals on Wheels, and then pretending to be a triad while sitting at home, jacking off to porn all day. And then what he does is like he's jacking off while everyone else is on air, and he unmutes himself right at that specific time. Oh, I just came back just to hear what you were saying. But he was there the whole time, just jacking off.
Yeah, I remember some of that shit. I'm thinking, dude, you need to mute yourself, man. What the hell is that noise coming from there? You know, I'm thinking, man, come on, man.
Yep. It feels like all of us were violated when we were speaking on the air about like good spiritual things, and you had this pervert and this informant and criminal in the back just jacking off, and at home just plagiarizing from others, jacking off and pretending to be a Tong gangster. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's also the other thing too. You don't talk about being in or a part of a syndicate. You know, if you're in one, you just don't tell people that shit. You know,
Exactly.
and if you do, that's your way of asserting some sense of authority to the person listening to you. So they should believe you. You know, and that's just bullshit. You know, I mean that falls in the same folder as him claiming to be the biological son of Adolf Hitler, and before that he used to be a Native American. You know,
I remember the Native Americans just ignored him, like, "Yo, who is this freak?" And then he knew that charade wasn't going to work, so now he's using the aspect of the Hitler element.
yeah, I remember he also claimed some familial connection to actress Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah, that's
Just
right. That's
because of
right.
the last name.
He's been talking about her recently on his latest shows, and also that claim while he was a mercenary in Africa, he met Obama's brother, and in Nicaragua, he was having intercourse with these underage women and girls, and their parents would say, "Hey, please take my daughter to America for a better life." I mean, seriously, all of this stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I mean that's spinning it all right.
It is, brother. It is. I'm thankful that you and I were able to get away from that, and I hope this video serves as an education and as a warning to people who are with Douglas Dietrich at the moment. And I'm telling you guys, no matter how good it seems, one day he will turn on you and he will throw you under the bus. And please get away from him and do not share anything about you or your family with him.
Yeah. Now, if there is one thing that I am willing to share with people that are involved with him right now, is be very careful about the personal information that you share with him, because if he hates you, he's mad at you, he'll use it against you. He'll even go as far as calling the police and filing a false report. Just like what happened to Salman and JMO. You know.
Yeah, that's
He,
right. What
he's,
he
he's
did with
gonna.
us was he called like the elderly agencies in our respective states in Pennsylvania and in New York, and he said he was saying that we were abusing our parents and we were taking their money. And the guy that came to my house, he interviewed me and my parents, and he was laughing himself, like, "Hey, this is false. None of this is true." I even gave him a copy of the police report I made against Douglas with my local police, and I sent that over to San Francisco. And it's been a year since that incident, and everything's been okay. But still, I'm always prepared because these kind of criminals don't know when to give up or leave people alone. The same with Jameson Reese. The same thing happened to him. And I do not understand why the FBI is not uh, going after him, because this person is committing crimes across state lines and harming people in other states. And there was another person, a female associate of his, that was also reported on, and CPS came to their house, and thank God everything went okay with her, but she was at danger of even having her kids taken away from her. So this is scary stuff. I mean, uh, unless he's a protected informant, an asset, I do not understand why law enforcement is not taking action against him.
Yep. Actually, I have a quote, something that he said live on air on the date of July 13th, 2022. See, this is after we broke away from him. He said, "Because I give them so much leeway, people often open up to me. And so I do find out all about them, and if they do betray me, then I feel quite free to share it with the rest of the world. Everything that they shared." You know?
Exactly. That's what it is. I mean, in times like this, people don't already trust each other, and this son of a bitch is already adding more fuel to the fire. Where people think that, oh, he's my friend, he's a confidant, and he always claims that people always reach out to him, like assets reach out to him to help him and sabotage him. But in reality, what he does is he messages his listeners, and then eventually he gets them on Skype, and that's how he lures them into that circle. So he's the one doing that too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I think I've addressed it to a pretty certain extent. And Brother Daniel, if you have any closing thoughts, please share with the audience.
I never have to pay for sex, basically.
Yeah. Also, just a closing thought for people that are sending him money for electric blankets and rent and Marine Corps life insurance and all that bullshit. First of all, he's in a Section 8 home which was passed down to him from his parents, where he's been living in the same place since the 1980s. And he's got all of the welfare benefits in terms of the meals, the cell phone, the insurance, and all of the other stuff. He doesn't have to pay for Marine Corps life insurance because he never made it past boot camp. And you can go on Richard K. Cole's blogspot and see his discharge papers, which are there, where he washed out of boot camp and he never made it. So all of this other stuff, it's all just bullshit. He's just using that money to feed his drug habits and feeding his a sex habit. So there's that. And yep, it's exactly what it is. These kind of people eventually will be the architects of their own destruction. And unfortunately, his co-author has joined him in this charade. None of these people are using their real names and identities, and they're using these occult defamation and slander and character assassination tactics. And I tell them
Keep alive.
exactly. And his own wife left him. Once she got what she needed from him. So karma catches up to all of these criminals.
This is also another form of toxic masculinity on the far left side. Wait a minute. His co-host is a conservative, while Doug is on the other end of the political spectrum. So Doug himself can be so far left that he ends up being just as far right as his co-host at times.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. And another thing about his co-host and his co-author is, why is a guy in his 70s going to high school football games and hanging out with black teenagers that are underage, and he's hanging out with them. He even brought one of them onto the show, and he takes them out to the movies and stuff. So, I mean, again, I'm not implying anything here, but Douglas and his co-author, what they're accusing others of, I believe they themselves are guilty of it.
Co-author, you mean ghostwriter?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that reminds me. When we had that OBS program to stream shows with, when I was producing for him, it was me, Paul Edward, Rose Dia also. We were talking about how it operates, and Douglas himself was like, "Man, I do not want to have anything to do with it. I don't want to know anything about it. I want Johnny to do it." I'm thinking, "Oh shit!" So that. There was a red flag, thinking, "Oh shit, he's gonna make us do some shit," and he doesn't know anything about it. He's gonna depend on us, and he's gonna put us on the spot to keep, to stay on board with him. Ah shit, I don't think I'm gonna stay on for long as a producer. So
Yeah,
there's a fact that I
exactly.
kept to myself.
That's absolutely right. And the people that walked away from his circle, and for years he continuously slandered and doxed and defamed and character assassinated these people, and they never responded to him. They never talked about him again. But I think it gets to a point where somebody has to take a stand, where this person is continuously abusing humanity and hurting innocent people. Something's got to give. I mean, and that's where I believe you and I and Richard K. Cole and JMO came in, and hopefully we will get some justice out of this in the end as things fall in place accordingly. But yeah, we all have to stay alert because this kind of person can try anything. I'm always on alert. I already informed my local authorities, and I filed the necessary paperwork. So I'm okay in that regard, but still, I'm always on alert.
But I see a sense of justice as a form of process, and that first step has to do with us detaching ourselves from that level of existence.
Yeah,
Because he was basically scratching at the bottom, like a catfish, and we were down there with him, where he feels dominant,
yeah,
and then
exactly.
yeah,
Look at the losers that came on after us. I mean, it's never been the same for him in terms of his views and subscribers.
yep, and they're all in pursuit of the truth so that they can, I don't know, gain some kind of clout over it.
Yeah,
But see, the things like this, it ends up being just one big ego trap because you're part of a group here that can monopolize some information because you're ahead of them or you feel like you're ahead of them, and and it's like, okay, and in the end, what do you gain out of it? You're still talking shit about rich people, whatever, and you're still broke.
yeah, yeah. That's right. And it's funny. He's always talking about Aquino, and Aquino came on the air too, even on YouTube, and said, "Oh, I never know this person. I never met him." And he said, "My lawyers did an asset check on him. This person doesn't have anything, so what is there to really go after?" And when I consulted with some law firms in San Francisco myself, I mean, when they do an asset check on a person, if the person doesn't have anything, I mean, no lawyer takes those kind of cases, like defamation cases, unless it's like a really high public profile figure, right? So, see, a lot of the guys in this occult American community, Aquino validates their existence. So they could say anything about Aquino, and boom, their story is validated, and they could be part of the truth community. And he hasn't even met these guys, and he doesn't even know them. And he said that so while he was alive. And now Douglas is claiming that Aquino returned to life, and all of this other fantasy that's been going through his head.
Yep, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just how can I say, what is it? It's a whirlpool into nothing,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's
which leaves
absolutely
you
right.
stranded on Edom Island.
Yeah, That's right. And all of that stuff he's stolen from H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. Paul Edward, he can also confirm all that too, because at the time when he and I were co-producing for Douglas, he had access to his Google folder. All his prep material. All the material that I guess he reads and goes through. All the art stuff that he claimed was, like illustration photo of him and his quote son, all that, he said, he confirms it's all just blatant plagiarism. None of it is his work.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And for those that are listening to this right now, if you go on my playlist, there's a video at the Exposing Douglas Dietrich playlist on my channel. There's a video in there called Douglas Dietrich Plagiarizes Art from Asian Cosplay Artist. And you'll see whether it's the Vampirology book where he claims that that's his mother, or like these other artists like Carmen Lowe, Eugene Fay. And I've showed it step by step where he's taking this stuff from. So,
Yep.
I mean, Paul Edward confirms the same thing, that he takes his monologues from these different newsletters and news networks, and the art, he takes it from the Asian cosplay artist, the Cho stuff, and the Edom and the anti-gods. He takes that from H.P. Lovecraft, Hunter x Hunter, different animes. The same with the Night of the Broken Circle incident. I mean, it's all there for those that have common sense to piece it all together.
Yep.
And yeah, I believe until the next episode, this should be good enough. And Brother Daniel Arola will come again in the future. And
Yeah.
With the closing thoughts, I would say that he has my permission to download and upload this video wherever he wishes. And on my channel, it will be uploaded on the first week of September. I thank you all, and my love and blessings for Brother Daniel and all those that have supported us in this time of great change and trial and tribulation. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be with all of you. Thank you.
I do look forward to the follow-ups.
Yes, sir. Part 2 is coming.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Shit.